So this is our last presentation in the early morning session. We have Keith Watkins. He is the EAM and GIS Enterprise Administrator for the City of Greensboro, where his main goal is to improve the city's services through data analysis and innovation. He's going to do a live demo as part of his presentation today, so he's also very brave.
Thank you very much. Like you said, my name is Keith Watkins with the City of Greensboro. I'm going to spend a little bit of time going through our data process and then get into some dashboards and insights pages just to give you an idea where the City of Greensboro is working from. Let's go ahead and get started here. Abstract. So the first portion I'm going to go through is talking about the data, where we get it from, kind of the processes that it has to go through in order to get to our SDE and ultimately to our ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. And then we'll go through kind of publishing and some of the application development that we go through, some advanced formatting on the dashboards, some of the work we do with the experience builder and insights pages as well. And then we will get into the demonstrations. And there's actually going to be a few demonstrations throughout. I'm going to try to not spend too much time on those, but those are the cool part. So I'll make sure we get to that stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and click through all this first. All right. So within the City of Greensboro, we've spent a lot of time lately working on consolidating data and championing GIS as the point of record for most things. A lot of the databases that the city utilizes are stored in different departments, different credentials, and so on and so forth. So when they have applications out there, either taking public data or inputting data within the city, they go into their own application database. We have the ability to create link servers using our main SDE as the main data set. So we can link in there and pull in views. So we can pull in hundreds of tables using these views without having to worry about copying data back and forth, just constantly looking at the updated data sets. And so it goes into scheduled SSMS jobs that get run either daily, hourly, some we have running every 15 minutes, just to keep the data up to date. And so it either goes through some Python geoprocessing. Sometimes we need to geolocate addresses. Sometimes we need to do clips. Sometimes we need to do an assortment of processes to get those joins taken care of. And for the Python portion, we have Skip Daniels, who is one of the best developers that I've ever met. He's a smart guy. He taught the class on Tuesday, and he's taught me a lot in these last couple of years. And I utilize him as much as I can. I try to do some of the stuff myself, but we got Skip for. So he takes care of the Python processes, and I like to work in SQL. I'm pulling in all the views, doing a lot of joins in there, calculations and whatnot. So we can utilize SSMS to run both SQL and Python periodically. Like I said, depends on what interval you want. And from there, it moves into our SDE that we can then publish out using map services. We go to either ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. We have a lot of our stuff behind the firewall. Any of our asset management data or water resources data tends to be a little bit more critical. We don't want to give out critical infrastructure out to the public, so we keep that separate. But we have a couple different avenues there. Also, from the database, we can even have database connections right to our enterprise insights. So we are looking at direct views or tables in our insights pages. So those get updated every hour as well. We can go from enterprise into our portal, which then goes into ArcGIS Pro. For a lot of our users, they can access either map image layers of the same data, feature layers if they are editors, and it can go right back to our SDE. From the services, we can go down and we generally publish feature layers for each. It's just easier to set up metadata, set up categories, tags, and whatnot. And that way, if the data changes in the underlying service, you still have a feature layer that maintains that data. So we have to delete and republish hosted feature layers a lot. And so this publishing those layers helps us quite a lot. You can't really see the bottom here, but we have dashboards, experience builder, web maps, and web app builder. And so from those feature layers, we populate all of our applications. Sometimes they go back and forth. You'll see an example of an experience builder that has 5 or 6 dashboards built in. And so we'll go right onto that. So the first one we're working with is the dashboard I built for plan review. Whenever someone submits a plan to the City of Greensboro, it goes through the process of being approved by various departments, flood risk, fire risk, and et cetera. And so there's an application that the public uses to put this data in. but it's being stored in another database. And it's incorporated into a bunch of tables. They have 30 or 40 tables that actually pull in all the data from the applications and pull it into different sections. And so within our SSMS jobs, we have 28 steps that actually run through either SQL processes, Python, and et cetera, to derive resulting 9 tables. And the production tables. There we go. So there's 9 resulting tables. And this is just a screenshot of the plan review dashboard. And I'm going to open that up in 1 second. But we built this using Experience Builder, and it incorporates several dashboards. It starts with a list, and it pulls in the web map. But from that, we have an individual dashboard that's set up just for a list there. We have other dashboards all throughout. It was easier to pass URL parameters by having individual dashboards instead of trying to coordinate within Experience Builder. And this let us have multiple data sets coming from different areas that kind of incorporate that data. So let's just open that up and see if we can show what that looks like. All right. So this is our plan review dashboard. You can go through here and you can find any current plans. And again, this is updated hourly between 8 and 5. But once you select a plan, it passes the URL parameter, which includes the plan ID, passes it to the web map, passes over to the dashboards, and it also fills in other portions of the dashboard here. Okay, let's see. Yes. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so this is the plan review dashboard that we have. It's incorporating several different dashboards within an Experience Builder. So we have tables coming from different areas. We have some advanced formatting that's built in to show comments. And this went live a couple months ago. We've had quite a few hits on it, which is great. It just gives the public an ability to see current plans. We'll go back to the presentation. Okay, where's Zoom? Sorry, guys, a little bit complicated up here. And that's PyScripter. Don't want that. I'll just share the screen. I'll just go from the PowerPoint on here instead, just so we're not having to worry about doing that. Right. Okay, so that was a plan review dashboard. We'll go into the next section here. The city of Greensboro utilizes Infor or Hexagon's EAM to manage all of our assets. We have over 1 million assets in the city, millions of work orders over the last 10 years that are all completed by various departments. All the assets that are in the system have the ability to contain XY coordinates, but not all do. A majority of our street signs, a lot of water resources stuff does have XY, so we have location for it. But there's not a built-in reporting ability within EAM to show any of these in any sort of spatial environment. Also, no ability to do spatial queries. And so as the EAM administrator, I tried to pull as much of our reporting into GIS as I could, either through insights or dashboards. And I'm about to show you an example of one of our processes that we use in IT for change management. This allows us to visualize any coming changes that are coming to the systems that may cause downtime for other people. So again, this is made up of several dashboards within an Experience Builder. The top is just going to change based off of whatever is currently in the system. We have requests that are pending approval. We have requests that are scheduled to be completed within a couple days. And so we're able to see this data here. It's got some advanced formatting. So if it's an emergency, it'll ping to the top. It'll also be red. We can take a look at this. Once you select one, it gives you other information based on the change itself. If there's emergency requests, they come into a separate portion of the dashboard. You get a nice green notification if there's no emergencies at the time, which is great. You can also break it down by request by division for a 120-day moving window. This shows any emergencies at the top. So these requests were submitted and completed already, but they're still pinged to the top just for edification. You can pick which department you want to look at. You can see ones that were input by different employees. There's also an archive where you can see all requests for all time. and a link for entering new requests on here. So we have a survey 123 set up so that you can incorporate different changes here. Previously, you would have to go through EAM and kind of click through, create a work order, and so on. But this lets you put it in survey 123, which is a hosted feature layer. We then pull it into SDE, and then we have an import utility template within EAM's configuration where we can pull this data in. We're working on automating that right now using Python. I'll just go into the other dashboards here as well. This is an insights page that I built for our Parks and Recreations department. It's a little bit hard to see on here. Let's see if I can scroll it in. White on white. I like the dark mode for a lot of this stuff, but I haven't figured out insights yet. But this pulls in EAM data as well in a format that is a bit easier to use for some people who may not be super great with Excel. Since Insights is regularly drag and drop, you're pulling different feature classes from the data set, and you can filter based off of selections you make on the page. If you want to see everything from July 2022, this goes ahead and filters all the resulting data beneath it. So you can take a look at labor hours by individual employee. Based on that filter, you can see labor hours by location. You can find out how much time they spend at an individual park or on a bench. This drills down all the way to the system level, as well as the parent system. You can also take a look at the labor hours based on the trade or task that they're completing. If you want to know how much time they spend doing HVAC work, you can filter it from here or back up at the top. This gives them the ability to produce an assortment of reports based on whatever they're looking for. Essentially, previously we'd have to build a crystal report with very specific parameters set for one type of task or one type of labor employee. But with Insights, you have a lot of different ability to filter and sort. And one of the things that we like best about Insights, and the reason we're moving towards Insights, is the exporting ability is pretty awesome. Once you've made selections on here, any filtering, you can go into any of these charts, turn it around back, and you can export it right into a CSV. And so this entire chart could be exported out there. You can give it to the managers who would like to have that data. They can keep a running list of those. We're working on setting these pages up so that they can actually be exported as PDF, so you can get a snapshot. You just have to configure it so it fills in that aspect ratio. Let's see. Change management, and we will do, let's see, all that stuff. Let's go into, I'll do one more dashboard on here. So this is asset management as well. This was a request by our city manager to incorporate all of our EAM data and based off of the city council district. So they have an idea of work orders that are completed on time for various areas, whether they are or are not, was the main goal for our new city manager as he came through. That bar up top is not helpful. Okay, so this is another dashboard that we have on here, and this one is an actual dashboard not built into an experience builder. But this lets us go through and do a lot of spatial queries. You can select the different council districts, and it's going to filter all the data for that section. We can see on here this council district for Sharon Hightower. You can see the different problem codes that they utilize, different types of work that the employees are completing, whether someone missed their garbage pickup or they didn't have their trash can out front or a commercial dumpster wasn't empty on time. They keep track of when things were completed and when they weren't, so you can get an idea of where the best service is being completed within the city. Maybe there's in the lower economic areas, they're not getting the same service as the more affluent areas. This gives them an opportunity as council members to address certain issues that may be present within those communities. It also gives them the ability to say, hey, we did much better than the other council district, vote for me. So there's a lot of political work that goes into this. This was kind of a one-off project. We handed it up to the city manager, didn't hear much about it, but we got some recent feedback from the assistant city manager that, hey, that looks really cool. We should try opening it up. So maybe they'll open it up and we'll get some more stuff going on. But in general, as we're trying to move through the changes that are coming to GIS, moving to Enterprise, moving to ArcGIS Pro, we're trying to incorporate as much data as we can into these sort of processes where We may have older databases that aren't up to the right SQL level. We have one database that's SQL Server 2012, which is very incompatible with a lot of newer processes. So we're working as much as we can to set up views to these older databases, incorporate them into our SDE, and have production layers that are put out as often as we can with clean, good data. And once we have that data, we can put it in any of these kind of boxes. We can do dashboards, insights. Experience Builder has been very helpful on here. And it gives us a way to showcase GIS without just giving them a map viewer. And it gives the user the ability to feel like they're like filtering their own data. You know, like they feel like they're involved in these processes by making these selections. It's also a great way to show at a glance data. Like for the city managers, city council members, they don't really have a lot of time. Just looking at one of these gives them a lot of information as opposed to giving them a spreadsheet or giving them a static map that may have layers that they have to go in and then turn on and off. But there's a lot of utility in incorporating these data sets. And as we build more and more of these data sets, departments that have non-spatial data also want in. You know, they don't have anything related to shape within their data sets, but they would like to see it on a map. So we take whatever they have. If they have a street, if they have a street address, if they have a general census tract or parcel, we can incorporate that data using Python geoprocessing and create new data sets from it. But what we're trying to do is point as many processes as we can to GIS. There's opportunities for some people to use Power BI, which is a very advanced reporting tool, but it's very expensive. At $100,000 a year, it's quite a lot. Whereas an Insights license is $500 or $600 per seat. And so people can incorporate their own spatial or non-spatial aggregation or analysis through that. And it's a cost savings, and we can support them as IT GIS. You know, if they keep adding other programs, we don't know enough to help with Power BI, but we sure do know GIS, or we have the ability to figure it out. So as we're moving through, we're trying to help point everyone towards Esri, and it's going well, but it's also making it so we had a lot more work. Everyone wants a dashboard now because they work. And as long as you have the processes set up, as I went in the beginning, to keep them updated, they're pretty steadfast. I mean, there may be some programming that needs to be done to isolate different things, do different filters, but once you build it, it's there. And as long as you have the process to update it, people will get constant data. As we saw with the plan review dashboard, it gives more people an opportunity to see what GIS can do. And it's not all maps, it's data. You know, it's very important that we're able to incorporate that in and, again, keep it in our wheelhouse so we don't have to worry about working on all those other programs. But yeah, so in a nutshell, that's what the city of Greensboro is working on, or our department is trying to incorporate all of our data into something that's very user-friendly and it looks cool. Anybody have any questions? For a work order management system, we use in Hexagon's EAM. And so we've been with one form or another of EAM since 2004, back when it was DataStream. And then they got bought up by Infor, and Infor just sold them to Hexagon, who has their own geospatial suite of software, but we don't use it. We use Esri. So we're having to kind of fight with them to make sure that we can keep access to our system and incorporate GIS the right way. But we're doing our best to work in the background. Our water resources department is kind of years ahead of our team. Just, yeah, water resources, Zach Peterson back there. He is, they have a huge brain on their side, Jason Brenner, who is just a wizard as well. So he can incorporate some of this GIS stuff into EAM. He's got web viewers. He's got pretty much the same kind of stuff that I was showing here, geared towards water resources, but they're kind of a closed circuit. So we're working on the rest of the city. They're under control. So it's all good. But yeah, EAM is what we use now. Hexagon's EAM. Yes. Let me pull this up here so you can see that.
Can you please repeat the question for the virtual audience?
Absolutely. So the question was why we incorporate multiple dashboards into Experience Builder instead of using Experience Builder to provide the similar functionality. And a lot of that came just from me trying to tinker around and find the best way to do it. We had 9 different tables for our plan review database, coming from 28 tables or somewhere around there. So there's multiple tables that only had the key on there, and they had different information. And so instead of trying to incorporate all of those into the web service and pull those individually into Experience Builder, I found it much easier to use that key and pass URL parameters to each of the individual dashboards so that those selections were passed as you make them. And I'm sure there's a way to do it in Experience Builder, but this gives me an opportunity to make changes to underlying dashboards without having to republish the total experience. And so it's going to be a little bit finicky on there. If you make a change and you want to publish it out, sometimes the parameters don't work as well. So we had a different way of pulling it through. There's doubtless a way to incorporate it in Experience Builder as well, but this is the brush stroke that I chose to use on this one. It works pretty well. Maybe a little bit faster if we were to circumvent this, but for the first version, worked pretty good. Yeah, that's true. Our application services had built the application for the public-facing input of all this data, but when all of this was being completed, they never came up with a public portal where they could actually view plan status or reporting for that matter. And so when it was going live, they had no way for the public to take a look at it. So we were working on it for several months, and they decided to go live with the other portion. And so we had a pretty big deadline to get it in, but we got it out there, at least version 1, and got pretty good feedback on it. Yes. Absolutely. So we're looking at the difference between performance in insights and dashboards. And so dashboards, while not completely static, they don't allow you to do too much filtering on the user side. You can filter based off of one selection on here, like I was showed on there. You can choose council district, and that filters, and you can choose another, and it may filter yes or no. But within insights, there's predefined filters at the top that allow you to do quite a lot of on-the-fly filtering. Let me just pull that up. So up at the top of Insights, you have all these predefined filters that allow you to kind of customize the report on the fly. If you want to select a different type of preventative maintenance schedule or a specific trade or task, you can do that, and you can make individual selections on there. One of the things that we utilize in Insights the most is the ability to export data to CSV. There are abilities within Experience Builder to export tables that you see, but not at the same level as in Insights. So once you make your selections at the top or within the charts, then you can export directly, and you've got a data set right in your hand. Again, there's 1,000 ways to do this stuff. Esri is fantastic with this. Anyone can figure it out on their own, but you're all going to have different ways of putting them together. But we like the data you get from Insights. We like the colors and sense of purpose that we get from dashboards. So different customers require different things. Some of these have both. Experience Builder lets you have a dashboard, Insights page, and a Survey 123 all in one app. So we like to do all of it. Anyone else? All right, thank you very much. Thank you.